Welcome to Inside the Indians, your source for insider information on the Tribe. Stay with us as we bring you the latest about the players, managers, and people behind the scenes at Victory Field. Now here's your host, the longtime broadcast voice of the Indians, Howard Kellman.
Hi everybody, I'm Howard Kellman and welcome to Inside the Indians. On today's show, we'll talk to Tribe manager Brian Esposito, pitching coach Stan Kiles, and infielder Kevin Kramer. We'll be back with Brian Esposito on WHMB TV 40. Esposito, the manager of Indianapolis Indians, is our first guest on Inside the Indians. Brian, I think one of the real great spots when you look at the Indianapolis Indians this year was Austin Meadows, who's now with Pittsburgh. Tell us about Austin, because he has certainly done well here and doing great up there.
Yeah, he's a really talented, special young player. I think this year the difference between him and years past was that he finally took his talents and turned them into performance. He's healthy. He was out on the field every day working on his skill set, mostly in the outfield, working on just the nuances of the position, technique, and just, overall had a much better ability to work on a daily basis because of his health, and he turned that all into performance in the game. I mean, he was swinging the bat really well, he was running the bases really well, doing a lot of special things and impacting the ball game from every angle.
The first thing that people will look at now is the way he's hit the ball, obviously. But as you pointed out, you want a man to be a complete player. He was a much better outfielder and a much better base runner.
Yeah, he, health had a lot to do with that. He was able to go out and work on the things that he needs to do. In order to be good at baseball, you have to play baseball. Very few people can roll out of bed and just show up and be really good at what it is they do. There have been some special players like that. They're few and far between. Austin has to work at what he's good at, and he did exactly that. He worked really well, really hard in the outfield. He did a lot of stuff on the bases. He started studying some pitchers, and it's translating into performance now.
Jordan Luplow got off to a slow start, 3 for 30. He's come on great. Tell us about him.
Yeah, he's another really special player. He can do a lot of different things. I had Jordan when we first got him out of the draft, and you could see that he was just a pure hitter and a pure defensive outfielder, and he can do some special things. The early season struggles, that's part of it. Some people hit those struggles in the middle of the year. He just happened to break camp and go through that tough stretch, and he's worked his way out of it like most good hitters do.
We're going to talk to Stan Kiles about Johnny Hellwig. He's been a great story out of the bullpen.
Yeah, he's a guy that historically they talked a little bit about some command issues. We just provided opportunities for him to go out there and pitch. We provide a lot of confidence for him. And in result, he's turned a lot of his stuff into performance. He has, there's been a few flashes here and there of brilliance, to be honest with you. He's getting the ground balls when you need him. We have him in the closing role. We inserted him in early in the game to see what he could do, and he responded the same way. So he's on the mound pitching, doing a good job. I
asked him a while back, I said, are you doing anything different mechanically at all? He said, no, I'm just having fun.
That's it. Sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves that we live and die by every pitch we make. He has a short memory now. He might spray a fastball or spray a breaking ball, and he gets right back in the saddle and gets to work.
Tell us about Kevin Kramer and Kevin Newman.
The Seinfeld boys. Newman and Kramer, two young players that we have, both special players as well in their own rights. Kramer, we'll talk a little about Kramer first. Left-handed hitter. He could do some things, man. He's not a really big kid, but he's got some thunder in his pole. Going to be a really good hitter once he starts to iron some things out, his approach and plan at the plate, what his skill set really looks like at the dish. He can do some things. He's working through some stuff defensively right now. He's moved around. We had him at short. We had him mostly at second, but he slid over and played some third. So his ability to play all spots on the infield dirt, it's valuable. So he's going to continue to grow as a player. And then same thing with Newman. He's more stayed in the middle, bounced between shortstop and second base. He's done a really fine job sliding over to the right side of the infield at second base for us. And his bat got hot lately, and he's throwing a lot of barrel to the ball and getting on base and being a good table setter for us at the top of the lineup.
You were a coach with Indianapolis Indians in 2013. The last 4 years you managed with the Pirates. Does it help having seen Newman and Kramer and some of these other younger players at the lower levels, does that help you today?
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun to watch and continue to see how they've progressed from where they were. So I know a lot about these players personally. I know a lot about what drives them and what adjustments they have made from the time they were in A-ball to getting to the spot here now on the brink of the big league. So it's fun to watch maturity. It's fun to know what drives them and basically live with them as they continue out on their journey.
I think you can't overemphasize the challenges. This is a hard game to play. The skills of developing skills of hitting and pitching are very, very difficult.
It's a very hard game. Sometimes it appears to be a lot easier from that cushion bench over there when we watch these guys play, and it's even easier when you're sitting in the seats, and it's way easier when you're in the third deck. This is a tough game, though. These guys, they go out there and they work hard. A lot of these guys work hard, and sometimes the struggles will stymie you a little bit. You know, you always want to be really good at your craft, and when you go through those struggles, it can wear you out a little bit. We haven't really seen anybody go through those struggles where it's worn them out. A lot of these guys handle adversity well. It's something that we do as Pirates. We embrace challenges, we embrace adversity, and we ride it out.
Tell me if you agree with this. I think it's good for a player to have some challenges and deal with adversity while he's in the minor leagues, because no matter how good you are, you're going to have to deal with it in the major leagues.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've learned from my experience in my travels is getting hit in the mouth and tasting your own blood for a little bit is good for you, because you learn how to respond, you learn how to bounce back, you learn what adjustments you need to make, and you can move some things forward. The players that fly through the minor leagues and get to the big leagues and experience those struggles for the first time, that's a tough place to experience some struggles, because you got to believe that you'll go through some up there. Some don't, but most will. And the first time you ever get sent down or experience that might be at the major league level coming backwards. So it's challenging. I'm a big fan of having players go through some adversity, and I want to see how they respond to it.
It means everything, because you're going to deal with struggles, and you want players, when they look at players, what's his makeup like? Because makeup means everything.
Yeah, that's what I always tell guys. I like watching players, and I like seeing their development. That's when I think that's the best opportunity for growth, is when they're struggling, how do they respond. I also like watching guys that are struggling, what their workday looks like, how they're going about their business in the workday. What are they doing? Are they bringing the right attitude and effort to correct or to move some things forward that they're struggling with, or are they, having that self-pity or that attitude that's dragging them down in the workday? So to me, those are the best opportunities to see what a guy's made of and what kind of player he's going to be.
When you see somebody come out here with the attitude every day, how can I get better, as opposed to focusing his energy on what are they thinking up there about me, you have something.
Yeah, it's like you said, this game's hard enough. When you start playing the GM and you start trying to analyze everything about yourself and what's going on throughout the system, man, you just start to wear yourself out a little bit. The main thing that we try to preach to these guys, and the same thing for us as coaches in this game, you just got to be where your feet are and take care of business. You just got to continue to find a way to get better and be the best version of yourself that day, and then all the other things come to fruition after that.
Well said. Brian, as always, thank you so much. We'll talk to you on the next show. That's Indians manager Brian Esposito on WHMB TV 40. Stan Kiles, the Indianapolis Indians pitching coach. Our next guest on Inside the Indians. Stan, we've played a little over a third of the season. Give us your overall thoughts and feelings on the pitching staff.
Well, Howard, I think we've shown some flashes of where we want to get to as far as being solid on the mound. There's still some inconsistencies that I'm seeing, particularly out of our starting rotation. It's a young group. Kingham led the group early, but obviously he's had a chance to go to the big leagues and help our big league club. But we still have Holmes and Epler here, some guys with some experience who's Epler's throwing the ball well for us this year. Holmes it's been a little inconsistent. He's shown some great flashes, but looking for him to get a little traction. And then McRae has really been solid as well. We've gotten a couple of new kids, and Brubaker and Waddell now, who's Brubaker's thrown well for us. But there's still been a little inconsistent as far as start to start. and we're looking for a little bit better. Our bullpen has performed better than I expected. They've been really solid, so we just got to get those started, the pitchers deeper into the game more effectively, and I think we'll get it going.
You mentioned Brubaker and Waddell, two young pitchers, starting pitchers, and you did the same thing. You made the jump from AA to AAA, which they're doing. What's that like?
Well, there's a period of adjustment. The biggest thing is getting them to understand that it's still pitching. I think sometimes we give the higher level hitters a little bit more credit, and we still got to understand that the ball is really in our court. It's about pitch execution and attacking the zone, pitching the contact, and staying on top of these guys. So I think sometimes we'll pitch away from contact a little bit too often, but there's no cure for that other than experience, and those guys are getting it.
Brandon Waddell made his AAA debut on Wednesday. Tell us about him as a pitcher.
Well, he's a guy, he didn't have a good start, but I think he's going to be a great addition for us. He's a prototypical guy, left-hander, knows how to pitch, has a good feel, has 4 solid pitches in fastball, changeup, slider, and curve. And I just think he needs to get acclimated to this league. I thought he was a little nervous in his first outing, but he's raring to go now, looking forward to getting back out there, and so I'm looking forward to good things from him.
How about JT Brubaker?
Brubaker's been solid for us. He kicked off his debut with a bang, going 6 shutout innings in Louisville, and he's had a few bumps after that, but he's going after hitters well. I like his aggressiveness on the mound, and he's got a chance to be a pretty good major league starting pitcher.
We mentioned the jump from AA to AAA. What about when guys go like Nick Kingham, you mentioned, AAA to the major leagues? What's that jump like?
Well, again, there's a period of adjustment that those guys have to go through. There's nothing like experience, and a lot of times guys, you don't know what you don't know. And those guys get up there to get a chance to get their feet wet and understand that it's still just a game of competition. And at the end of the day, it's about you competing against yourself and seeing how quality you can be, how consistent you can be in executing pitches. I mean, this day and age, we've got all sorts of information through analytics and video and all of those things that helps them understand how to attack hitters, but it comes down to their willingness or having the toughness to go out there and do it. So the experience is great, but I think they understand once they get there, it's just about the game within the game.
And one of the big changes when we look at bullpens now is you have so many guys throwing so hard.
Yeah, a lot harder than the average guy that when I played. Usually it was a sprinkling of guys. You'd have an assortment of guys. You had 1 or 2 guys that threw the ball hard, but you also had guys that had, a lot of them were former starters that didn't make it as a starting pitcher, but they still had that feel and pitch execution ability, and they were able to go through a lineup 1 or 2 times still in the bullpen. So your bullpen had a little bit more flexibility. Now it's just about going up there and throwing as hard as you can. And obviously, we still want those guys to be able to pitch and execute pitches, but there's no substitute for good, hard stuff. And you see a lot more bullpens sculpted that way.
When you were pitching back in the 80s, they would like to see a starting pitcher go 9 or 8. Now it's a much different game as far as that's concerned too.
Absolutely. You get 5, 6 innings out of your starter, and then you bring in the chain gang out there, coming in there, guys carrying their lunch pail and throwing the ball hard, and they know they won't be out there only for about an inning or so, and so they're coming at you with their best stuff. So you get through a lineup nowadays, or get through a game going 5 or 6 innings, usually if you turn it over in a good spot to a bullpen up there, major league bullpen, you've got a pretty good chance of shutting that game down.
And you can rationalize bringing in the relief pitchers now after 5, 6 innings, because all the statistics show that the third time a hitter faces a pitcher, the hitter's odds of getting a base hit increase dramatically.
Well, yeah, it does, and I think the other part of that is, in this day and age, with a lot of times we're developing our guys quicker and quickly, and we're getting them to the big leagues. And oftentimes they haven't developed that art of pitching through the lineup 2 or 3 times because, I mean, let's face it, I mean, a lot of these guys are talented, and you want them to get up there and hone their skills there, and hopefully they'll learn a little bit quicker there. But there is you like to see guys get a chance to go through the process and an understanding of how to do that. And it's tough to do that at the big league level. And now you got bullpens that can come in and take up that kind of slack. So, it's a catch-22 with it, but it's working out okay.
One of the guys who's been a great story has been Johnny Helwig.
Yeah, Johnny's been great. He's had a chance to get a taste of it, and he was a big-time prospect over with the Brewers, and has always thrown the ball hard and always had a tough time consistently throwing strikes. But here for us, he's done a terrific job of coming in, and we've used him as our closer in a lot of games. Recently, we're starting to get him some middle inning work just to get him acclimated to doing that in case there's a chance that he can go up to the big leagues, and we think there is. So we got to let him get a chance to get himself prepared for that. But he's been a great guy for us, throwing the ball super good, and we're all hoping that he gets a chance up there sooner rather than later.
Stan, as always, thank you so much.
Howard, thanks for having me.
That's Stan Kiles on WHMB TV 40. Tribe infielder Kevin Kramer is our next guest on Inside the Indians. Kevin, you've done a really good job for this ball club, making the jump from AA to AAA. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a jump. You start playing against more experienced players, guys that have been in the big leagues for some time now. I think every level that you experience is different in its own way, and it's been a fun ride so far. I think, with this team, it's been a lot of fun to hang out with these guys and to be around them and to get to know the game a little bit better with them. It's been a lot of fun, and the jump has been interesting for sure. And it's one that I look forward to, and one that is only going to continue to get better for me as the season goes on.
And one thing about the AAA level, you're seeing a number of experienced veteran pitchers.
Definitely, and guys that have been in the show for a long time, and they know how to pitch. And that's probably the biggest jump, I think, is they're not willing to give in to you, and they want to exploit your weaknesses as much as possible, and they're not willing to give you a fastball in the middle of the plate. And it's been an adjustment, I think, as I've grown with this game, with the jump from AA last year and now AAA. I think you start to see more pitchers, not just throwers, and that's true this year. And they've made adjustments to me, and I'll make adjustments to them as the season goes on.
You were facing a really tough pitcher in Michael Kopech Monday in Charlotte. Fastball, a lot of velocity. He decided to throw you a breaking ball, and I'll never forget it. You hit that ball so far, just a majestic drive. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the fastest pitchers in all of minor league baseball. He was throwing really well that day, throwing fastballs down in the zone, and the guy that throws 100 miles an hour, you're not gonna have that much time. And luckily, with 2 strikes, he threw me a slider that just hung up in the zone, gave me some time to catch up to it, and put a good swing on it.
Tell us about playing second base, shortstop, and third base, because you've played all 3.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Up until this year, I've only played second in pro ball. In college, I played short and third, so it's been kind of fun to get back over there to do some different things and to play some different spots and help out the team in any way that I can. And it's been a little challenging just to kind of bounce back and forth each and every day, where you're taking ground balls on certain days and the throws that you're making. But it's been a lot of fun to kind of get back to where I played before pro ball. Shortstop is fun because you can kind of play it a little bit to your personality, and third base is fun because it's kind of just reactions. So it's been a lot of fun getting back over there and doing some different things.
Well, the difference between third base as opposed to shortstop and second base, you may go 4 or 5 or 6 innings without a ball being hit to you.
Yeah, and that's the thing that, when I first got back over there, I was just kind of, I didn't know what to do because, when a ball's not hit you don't have really anywhere to be, unless there's a play at third, of course. And in the middle of the field, you always have somewhere to be. You always have somewhere to be a cutoff guy or a relay guy. And when I started playing third again, it was kind of like, I don't know what I should be doing right now. I don't know, where should I be? But after a couple games, I just kind of got used to it, knowing that, okay, I'm in the right spot. I don't need to be anywhere else. And it's kind of a little bit of a breather mentally, because you don't always have to be on every single pitch as far as your expectations. You don't have a place to be. You don't have to worry about the runner. You don't have to worry about a pickoff. You don't have to worry about a delay steal. So it's been different, but it's been fun, and it's a good challenge for me.
We've got about 30 seconds. Please tell us about your experience at UCLA.
Probably the best 4 years of my life, for sure. Baseball-wise, just the knowledge that I was able to learn from the coaching staff there and the players that I played with, who many of them are in the big leagues now. Obviously, winning the national championship in 2013 was amazing and spectacular in its own. But just overall great experience. I have a lot of great friends from there, a lot of great baseball memories, and one that I'll cherish forever.
Kevin, as always, thank you so much. Keep up the great work.
Thanks, Howard.
That's Kevin Kramer on WHMB TV 40. Thanks to our guests, Brian Esposito, Stan Kiles, and Kevin Kramer. See you next time on Inside the Indians.